Welcome to My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
And we got an email from a listener. I love that from the very beginning of this podcast, we said very boldly, we are not an advice podcast, but we have been getting more and more emails from people asking for advice. And actually, you know what? I kind of love it. I feel like we've learned a lot in the, 6 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been doing this show.
We've earned our stripes. We've earned our stripes.
We have. So
we've seen some shit.
We have seen some shit, right? We've seen things play out. We've been in the trenches. So we received this email from someone, and the subject line was advice on my situation. And so I thought I could share, and then maybe we could offer her a little bit of advice, some perspective.
Okay.
All right. So it says, hi, ladies. I know you're not an advice podcast, but I love your take on relationship situations. So here's mine. I am 28 years old, have been single for 8 months, having escaped a horribly abusive relationship. Just barely a month after my breakup, I was at the gym with my best friend, and he was chatting with a gym friend of his he'd known for years. Let's call him G. I didn't think anything of it other than, please hurry up, I want to finish this workout. I did notice G kept looking at me while talking to my friend, but again, I brushed it off until he asked me for my name and introduced himself. He proceeded to ask me for my number. Take me on an amazing date, and we very quickly became so close, like we'd known each other our entire lives. So here's the issue. I didn't ask his age when I met him. I assumed he was around my friend's age, 25 to 27, but he is much younger, 20 actually. I was baffled when I found out. He looks and acts older than me. He has an established career he's working towards, and he's very respectful, actually, the most respectful man I've ever been with. I feel weird about the age gap and have kept it from a lot of my friends and family out of embarrassment, but when we're together, it's not an issue, and he says he doesn't even think about it. He has even said he prefers dating older women as they're more stable, experienced in life, and have better conversation. Asking for advice on if I should end things due to a large age gap or if I should not care about others' opinions. Thanks so much. Love you, ladies.
Ooh, I have a lot of thoughts on this.
You want to start off?
Okay. Number one, coming out of a really terrible relationship and then meeting somebody who's so kind to you and is like building up your confidence, is incredible. I think that 28 and 20, that 8-year age gap is larger than like 35 and 20. You know what I mean? Like
right.
That.
If you were both older.
Yeah. So I can definitely understand how that would be like, and also you're thinking, well, when I'm this age, he'll be this age, or like, what happens if he wants to have kids later in life, and that has already passed me by. But I think that there's nothing that you can control at all in this life, except if that person is respectful to you, you like them, and they're treating you well. I don't see an issue with it at all.
Yeah, I don't think you break off something that's going really well. It makes you feel really good. And like you said, with a respectful human who's treating you incredibly well and you're having a good time. I mean, I'm not saying marry this guy tomorrow. It's also too, like, you met him a month after a really difficult breakup.
8 months.
Oh, I thought she said a month after they broke up.
No, 8 months.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I thought they were saying 8 months since the beginning, like till now.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's different than, I mean, if you've have the time to process and everything like that. But here's the thing, like, even if he was 28 or 32, you know what I mean? Like, there's never any certainty that any of it is going to work out, no matter what their age, their situation, what they are on paper. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't guarantee that it will fail. It doesn't guarantee that it will succeed. There's no guarantees.
I mean, I understand her hesitation. At 28, I would not have, if someone had told me they were 20
before you met them, right?
Before I met them, my initial instinct would be like, no, I don't want to date a 20-year-old, because to me, 20 is is emotionally the same as 18. Like oftentimes is the case. However,
that person can't quite drink yet even. So like,
they can't drink yet if they're in the States, stuff like that. But, when it comes to age gaps, of course, there are things that are completely unacceptable. There are things that are really creepy. We've talked about like Anthony Kiedis and like that situation.
Yeah,
I don't care how emotionally mature that 19-year-old is. You're in your 50s, right? Like that is a completely different situation. This is two people in their 20s. And the truth is like, everybody matures differently at different speeds for a number of, there are a number of factors that determine that, there's biology, there's also life experience. I've known people, like we have a good friend who I think was very mature in her very early 20s and actually ended up marrying her now husband, but boyfriend of many years who is significantly older, than her. And
what is the age gap?
Like 8 or 9 years, something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's similar.
It's similar. So. Yeah. But she lived a life that made her grow up very quickly. Mm-hmm. So she was very, very emotionally mature, I think a lot sooner than a lot of people. So,
and that can happen. A lot of life experience. Right.
On, and that can happen to people, So if it was something where you didn't even notice, like he had to tell you his age because he is so, emotionally mature, he's got a good job, he treats you respectfully. If he's checking off everything else on your list, I mean, again, you don't have to jump right into a wedding dress with this person, but you can see how it goes. I don't think it's a good enough reason to completely call it off.
I do.
Yeah. It's something to consider. Absolutely. Yeah. It's something to consider and keep in mind. And also know that no matter how emotionally mature this person is, they are still 20. And you need to take that into consideration. There might be moments in your relationship where that does come up or plays a part. But there's always going to be factors like that in any relationship.
Right.
Everyone has their own baggage or their own whatever it is. So I would just take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Right? If you're having a good time right now, he's treating you kindly right now. If your only real concern is what everybody else is going to say or everybody else is going to think, that's, you don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
No.
Everyone else is not in your bedroom, unless they're Republican. But
gotcha. Sorry. It's an election year. Okay.
I think it's great if it's building your confidence and you're having fun. Then it doesn't need to be anything more than that.
Sure. Yep. It could be Mr. Right, or it could be Mr. Right now. But either way, enjoy the ride. Life's a journey.
Yeah, it could be just what you need to recover from your situation too. Like sometimes people are stepping stones.
Yeah,
truly.
And sometimes too, like to that point, it's a great reminder to you and your self-confidence how important it is to be treated right and what it looks like to be treated right.
Yes.
Like you haven't experienced that in a while. So your barometer is all a little off. So this might just be fixing that gauge a little bit for you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Shout out to the Rebounds.
The real ones out there.
The real ones.
Doing the heavy lifting.
Really, honestly, helping, Stellas get their grooves back. I don't think we talk enough about what an important
role
job that is.
I actually completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I do.
It's fun in the moment. I think people know it's not going to be a serious long-term thing. I mean, I hope so. If you've just come out of something hard and you end up like dating or messing around or just hanging out with somebody else, just like it's such a wonderful gift that you're giving to somebody that has been hurt to help them heal or be a part of that healing process.
Yes. Well, and you never know. Like you never know what it could be at the end of the day, like it could end up being, this could be like, they could date for a few years and then it's like, this could be the one, you don't know. Yeah. You don't know. Life is weird and unpredictable and
absolutely.
But, shout out to those people that like see somebody that, has come out of a hard situation, maybe has a little dents and dings, and they're like, yeah, I like that. That's hot.
This is the we're advocating for the fix you.
God damn it! No. No.
Like, wait,
okay,
I don't know.
Let's be clear. Yeah, we have to be clear on what the parameters are. Yeah, you're not gonna fix somebody, but
I think what it really is just like, you know, treating someone gently, being able to treat someone gently, being able to see that like this, whatever you just went through is really hard. I'm not going to come into it and expect maybe what I might expect from someone else. I'm willing to come in and be what you need in this moment, you know? And, and I think that there are just certain personality types that are really good at that and really good for that. And
I'm
not
looking
just
at
in
you,
relationships.
I'm looking at a Pisces. This is what you're made for.
Truly. Yeah. Tag me in, coach. Here we go. But yeah. And those people exist not just for relationships, but for friendships too.
Yes.
You know, who are able to just swoop in and be able to treat you like a little baby bird.
Yeah.
You back on your feet, on your little wings.
They're gonna chew up the food and spit it right into your mouth. And
I think we've gone too far.
Sorry. Took a step too far.
Well, we've also had another listener suggestion this week in terms of FMK.
Right.
Shout out to the listeners. I gotta say, thank you so much for writing to us and providing us with content. This is the easiest opening I think we've ever had in our lives.
We didn't talk about it on the show yet, but somebody reached out to us about somebody has a relative that dated one of the people on
MILF Manor. I did respond to that listener. So listener, I'm so sorry it took me so long to respond to you, but check your email.
We need deets.
Yeah, we need deets. Let us know if we can share loosely. We won't get into any details.
Or if we can't share on the podcast, that's fine too. But we just really want to fucking
just
know.
Share with us. Share with us because we're nosy bitches. Okay, gotta know. I gotta know.
You can't tease tea and then say the store is closed. Okay. Like, come on.
We got tea. She needed help. Yeah.
Okay. So, Caitlin actually, I love Caitlin, wrote, Christina's comment about America's Dad made me think of my friend's comment on Snoop Dogg's apparent rebrand as America's Grandpa. Now, I'm not really hip with things, but I think Flava Flav has also had a kind of rebrand as America's favorite uncle.
He really... incredible rebrand.
Truly.
From like Flavor of Love days.
Yes, big time. Which made me think I had to find a third to recommend as an FMK. T-Pain has gone through a rebrand recently as well, and I'll take a risk and label it as America's favorite cousin.
He is giving fun cousin vibes.
He is.
T-Pain is giving like you're hanging out at the cookout. Like that is the cousin that you want to hang out with, right?
I saw a documentary a long time ago about T-Pain and basically like how everyone like he brought auto-tune.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Yes. That too. So good.
I love him
and
so
it was
much.
So good. And it's
his
just
wife. How cute.
Yeah, and like no one knew how insanely talented T-Pain was because he was talking about how he was using autotune because that was what he was known for, you know, back whenever he was like really making a lot of music in the 2000s. And but he was really looking at it as a tool to do something stylistically, but it made people think that he couldn't actually sing. And the truth is like T-Pain is an insanely talented vocalist.
He's so good. He's so good.
Yes, he's so good. And also, you know, he's made a little bit of a pivot into country. He's written country songs. He's written songs for other artists. Like he's very, very talented. And Flava Flav.
Are we all going to marry T-Pain? Is that what's going to happen here?
I'm really struggling on who to marry.
I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Because my love for Snoop Dogg goes so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Flava Flav has had a complete rebrand as well. I love what he did with the women's water polo team this last Olympics, where he basically funded the water polo team. He was like going hard. Who knew that Flava Flav loves water polo this much? He is a Pisces, so I guess water sports makes sense.
That makes sense.
You know, but he genuinely, he's also like an incredible like pianist.
Wow.
Yes. Like Flava Flav is like really good at playing the piano and apparently a very nice guy.
That's really hot.
Blown away.
we're gonna have to dip into astrology to help us make these decisions.
So Flav is a Pisces. I know that much.
Okay.
T-Pain is a Libra.
Snoop Dogg is a Libra.
Whoa.
Double Libras.
2 Libras and a Pisces.
Oh, air and water. We are floating. Okay. Amazing.
Okay.
All right. Man.
All right.
Wow. That is very interesting.
Then I think I do know who I'm going to marry.
Okay.
I think I'm going to marry T-Pain.
Okay. Okay.
I just think that watching the documentary you watched too, I just had so much respect for him and his career.
Too. Yeah.
I just thought, and him and his wife were so damn cute together. Like, so he's got a lot of respect for his wife, and like they seem to have a really strong relationship, which I think is really cool. It's cool to see somebody in that light. You know what I mean? And it changes your perception of like who that person is 100%. When you only know them from music, you know?
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to marry T-Pain.
Okay.
God. I think I'm going to have to fuck Snoop Dogg.
Really?
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. Because
my thing is, between the two of them, which do you think is better in bed?
I don't know.
Snoop Dogg or Flav Flav?
Yeah.
Flav does crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know he does.
Yeah, I feel like
and he is a Pisces.
You know you're right.
And like, I have to believe that some weird shit's going on in the bedroom in a good way.
However, I can also understand being more attracted to Snoop Dogg.
100%.
So
yeah.
I'm not
physically.
Yes.
But you're also right. And then in the side of it, like I want to be friends with Snoop Dogg. I think I would rather friend Snoop Dogg and fuck Flav Flav.
I do want to point out that T-Pain is a September Libra and Snoop Dogg is an October Libra. Since if we're making you know, distinctions here.
I stand by my decision.
Okay.
Then. I think this is good. Yeah.
Okay.
This is tough. Okay. Oh, I should also say that Snoop Dogg is on the cusp. He's October 20th. So
he's like almost a Scorpio.
All right. I think I'm also going to marry T-Pain. There's something very stable about T-Pain. And I almost married Snoop Dogg. I've married Snoop Dogg before in our FMKs. And I'm tempted to do that again just because like even though I think that they actually do give me kind of similar vibes. You know what? I'm gonna marry Snoop Dogg. Actually, I take it back. I'm gonna marry Snoop Dogg, and I'll tell you why. It's because they do give me similar vibes, but there is something very, very silly about Snoop Dogg that I like.
Yeah. He's so this is so funny. I'm glad that you made that distinction between their birth months with T-Pain being closer to Virgo.
Yes.
Then T-Pain seems like he's more on top of shit and more motivated and more ambitious. I
like that.
Whereas Snoop Dogg has a more laid back, easygoing, kind of playful vibe.
Yeah, you've got the cusp of a earth to air and then an air to water.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, should I maybe be with more of a T-Pain? Probably. Like, honestly, he's going to keep me on that straight and narrow moving forward in my life. Both of them very loyal, though. They've both been with the same women for a really long time. But watching Snoop Dogg at the Olympics, this is what keeps popping into my head that makes me think I want to marry Snoop Dogg, is he was cracking me up at the Olympics. Like his joy over watching the horses dance was so funny to me. Like, I just think that,
I mean, that it is funny. I'm sorry. Dressage is hilarious.
He's like talking about the horses crip walking and stuff. Amazing. You know, and so like
they
as
do
much
kind
as
of look like it.
I think of the three of them, I think that T-Pain is the most marriage material. And I will say that, but I think I am going to marry Snoop Dogg. This is tough because while I love Flav Flav's rebrand, physically I am not attracted to him at all. Right. However, I do think
it's going to be weird.
It's going to be weird.
It's going to be weird. What happens with the clock?
I don't know.
What do we do with the clock?
I don't know. I don't think I can bring myself to do. I'm very curious though.
God, I know.
I don't know, but I think I've just been scarred from spending my formative years watching Flavor of Love, and I don't think I can dip my toe into those waters because I know so many other toes have been in those waters.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. So with my own adolescent eyes, I saw it. So
Scarring.
So I think I'm gonna have to fuck T-Pain. I am gonna friend Flava Flav though. I bet he's hilarious.
Oh,
like I bet it is fun.
No,
to hang out with him. You know,
I'm really struggling with this one, because on the one hand I'm like, oh, I should be with T-Pain. You know,
I think we all know that. Yeah. We all know, listeners. Okay,
but I also do like the idea of somebody like not being as serious or like lightening me up a little bit. So I also think I'm going to marry Snoop Dogg.
I actually think that that's a really good
I agree.
decision for you.
Yeah. I just need somebody that like life's not that serious, and I need that reminder more frequently than I'd like to admit. So having somebody that is a little bit more easygoing and chill and everything to remind me it's really not that pressing is a good thing. So Snoop Dogg for marriage. And then I'm going to fuck T-Pain.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I am. I think he's I think
he's
his
attractive.
talent is attractive. His
I think he's
personality
physically attractive. I think he's
and
cute.
I think he's cute.
Yeah, I do.
I'm like, you know, while I think Flava Flav would do more interesting things, I think I would enjoy the T-Pain session a little bit more.
Has such a cute smile. Session. This session. We're going to block out an hour for this session.
I'll send him a Google Meet invite. You know,
oh, man.
Peak Capricorn energy.
Yes,
Totally.
So
that's amazing. Well, thank you so much to Caitlin. Was it Caitlin?
Yeah.
Thank you so much to Caitlin for that FMK suggestion. We are always taking them. We're always looking for them. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any of those, or if you need advice. You know, I'm willing. We just started year 6. I'm willing to crack open that advice podcast.
We'll talk about anything. Send us anything you want to hear us ramble on about.
100%, you know, 100%. We also do have a new patron. So I want to give a big worsty welcome to Amanda Ismail. Thank you so much for joining us on Patreon. We are so grateful to have you. Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Welcome.
And you guys want to take a quick 5 and then come back with stories?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Sweet.
And we're back. Okay, Christina.
Whoop. All right. This person says, not a date, but I, male, was in a rather new trendy brewery having some tasty German beer after work. They had these big glasses. It was a Friday. I was there with my coworker. Okay. Great exposition.
Like, right. It's just like to the point. Here's bam, bam, bam. This is what's going on.
Setting the scene. All right. Him and I were at a high top table, and I started talking with this lovely lady and her group of friends. She was very cute, flowy blonde hair past her shoulders with a mild curl, stunningly beautiful face, and pretty eyes. Aww.
I need to know this guy's sign, actually.
I actually really love it when guys like
describe details.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, I wonder what they noticed. That's what they noticed. Okay, great. I was encapsulated, not shy. We were laughing and carrying on. She moved over to stand and talk with me. We were getting close, face to face talking, gazing into our beer goggle eyes. The magic was in the air. We were having a very nice time learning what we both did and the get to know you talk. I could feel there was a good vibe and I was not fucking up or anything.
Oh my God, sweetie.
Oh no.
I was doing so good. Great. Roll with this. I ordered a round for both us and a round for her whole 5 top. Like,
oh Jesus.
So he's like
dropping
he's
cash.
dropping. He's like, I got this. He's showing off.
Big baller energy.
Yeah, he is.
I went to take a sip of this cold new beer. The first is the mouthful so it doesn't spill. Suck the suds off the top and get a good gulp. When all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just as I took that nice initial first gulp of cold brew into my mouth, I instantaneously hiccuped, sneezed, and coughed at the same time with a full mouthful of beer.
Oh, honey. Oh, no. And it just sprays everywhere. I can only imagine the sound it made, too.
What? What the fuck? I sprayed the shit out of her face and blouse.
Oh my God.
Everything.
Oh my God.
It was a whale type spew too. So it's literally just fucking
kill me.
Oh no.
I'd be so embarrassed.
No.
Oh, I totally drenched this poor woman. I was mortified. It dripped out of her hair. The look on her face. She was surprised and it turned into instant get the fuck away from me moment. I tried desperately to apologize and cover the tab of her and all her friends. I had no idea how that happened, but man, instant eruption like Mount St. Helens. There was nothing I could do to save myself or make up for it. She just wanted me away. To this day, I still feel bad about it.
I don't know. Maybe this is the Pisces energy in me. The way that I would, of course you have initial shock. Like you just got hit in the face by beer and spit. Okay, gross. But you have to know that was not intentional.
Exactly.
And I would immediately be like, oh my gosh, this person probably is so embarrassed. And I would go straight into like, it's okay. It's totally okay.
That is totally
like
same.
Yeah.
Right?
You could be like annoyed, but it was obviously like an accident. And if they were getting along as well as he purported
perceived
that they were, you know what I mean? It's an accident. You would just like brush it off and be like, oh, fine, whatever, that kind of thing. I would brush it off too if I was
100%. And he did try to he apologized. He bought, all those rounds. Like clearly this was not like he did it deliberately or anything like that. And you can be like, okay, like I think I need to go home. I need to wash my face. I need to change my clothes, like whatever. But
let's meet up later or whatever.
Yeah,
or here's my number. Like, maybe don't spit beer on me next time.
Right. Figure out whatever the fuck happened there. Yeah, figure that out. But medically figure out what's going on. That you would, all three of those things at the same time. Wow. Okay. I will go next. I'm sure we've all been there when we had high expectations for a date and they did not go as planned. And let me just tell you, this was my first date in almost 3 years since breaking up with my last long-term boyfriend. So I met this guy on Tinder. I know. Let's call him Joe. And Joe and I seem to have similar interest in travel. I hate to not have travel plans. So even though he didn't mark all of my boxes, he marked the travel box. So I gave it a shot and messaged him. Listen,
hey,
you don't always get everything, right? Yeah.
That is something actually to point out. I think that a lot of people, and I had this when I was younger, I was like, I want a partner that's this and this and this and this. And
one blue eye, one green, like
boxes.
Practical Magic.
Yeah. And it's like, you're not going to get everything that you want. No.
Right.
You really are not. Because we're human.
Right.
And like everyone's different. You get somebody that matches your freak enough to get through this fucking life together.
Exactly.
And that's all you can ask for.
So I gave it a shot and messaged him. I would wait a whole ass day or even a couple days in between responses. And that should have been the first red flag.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about this real quick. So I don't think that we've talked about this. Like, I don't expect anyone to respond to me instantly, right? Like, I'm just like, everyone needs their own space. Like, just because you can be contacted all the time doesn't mean that I expect your time in that way. A day, 2 days?
No, for me,
that's not.
I feel like I talked about this on the podcast. Like, for me, communication is one of the most important things. And your texting frequency shows me how much of a priority.
Your level of interest.
Yeah, exactly. So if you don't care about me for 1 or 2 days, then it's like, well, then I'm not into this either.
And I also really advocate for, like, in situations like this, like romantic situations, especially when you're getting to know people, like, You can also say like, hey, I'm just really, really busy right now, so I might not be able to get back to you for a little while.
Yeah.
Like to me, that is so much more like, oh, okay, well then I'm not expecting a response. I know that it's on your radar and you will get back to me when you can, but you're really busy. That happens sometimes or whatever, you know?
And that is an example of good communication.
Yes.
Yeah. So
precisely.
But I'm sorry, if you really want to talk to somebody and no matter how busy your day is, I've had busy fucking days.
Right.
Like days when I'm on set where I don't get a chance to barely, but I still have enough time to text Chris.
Right. If you want to, you will.
Yeah.
When we finally made a plan to meet up for dinner, he still took 1 to 3 business days to respond to a single text. And then when it came down to the night before the date, he asked to push it back a day. I was understanding at the time because he said he had a Zoom meeting that was scheduled last minute for 8 p.m. What does he do? First of all,
no, whatever it is, it sucks. Zoom meeting at 8
p.m. that you just found out that same day.
No,
I would call the police.
Yeah,
absolutely
immediately. There's some department, OSHA. Do we call OSHA for this?
This is employee abuse. You can't do this to me.
It's a crime. Hate crime.
So we agreed to push our date back a day. We went to this Mexican restaurant that was close to his apartment, and I'm chronically early to everything. So I show up like 20 minutes early, but I go in about 10 minutes before our agreed upon time to get a table. That's so relatable. Getting there early and then parking and just sitting in your car because you're like, I'm too early. Like I know I'm too early.
Yeah, I know. This is too much. I also was that way when I first started dating too. And then I was like, I want to show up 5 minutes late. I don't want to be the first one.
Well, this is her first date in 3 years.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You're like, all right, I get it. I would do the same. So it goes in 10 minutes before our agreed upon time to get a table and was seated almost immediately. And so I sit there and wait. 10 minutes go by and he says he's running just a few minutes late. 20 minutes. Finally, 30 minutes after the time we agreed upon, he shows up. Mind you, the waiter had already brought out my drink and chips and salsa, but I'm still hungry and a little annoyed.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it wasn't all bad. We did start to have a good time. Conversation was flowing and the food was good. However, the speaker was right above our table, so it was difficult to hear each other at times. We agreed to leave and go to a nearby bar so that we could spend more time together. We had a drink there and talked some more. We talked about our interests in jobs and previous and future travel plans, and then made out on the back patio. Typical date stuff.
Nice.
There you go.
Then we decided to go to his apartment. Things moved pretty quickly after that until they didn't. We made out in his loft, then in his bed, and the entire time he kept talking about some ex-girlfriend he lived with prior to moving for college. That's right. He was talking about an ex-girlfriend the entire time we were fucking around. So they're literally like making out and shit. And he's talking about his ex-girlfriend.
Just saying good things about Rebounds. Come on. Come on.
This is an example of a poor rebound.
Yeah, exactly.
She's the rebound and he's not doing it well. And so it's not her fault.
Don't fucking use people as like therapists or like have some empathy. How would it feel like if you're making out with somebody and they're talking about somebody else the whole time?
There's a time and place for this, and this is not it, right? Because it's like when you're getting to know someone, so you're going to talk about your previous relationships, the things that have affected you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like you don't do it mid makeout.
No, that's weird. That is weird.
I'm laying there naked in his bed, and he had the audacity to talk about another girl. Also, someone who lived with an ex-girlfriend, he definitely didn't know how to take a bra off.
Might be a reason.
Then he gets his dick out, although I am not planning to fuck and even told him up front, but he kept pushing and pushing, asking, how about a little sex? And would you be interested in a little sex?
Can I,
excuse me, man,
offer you a discount on a little sex?
And I had to keep telling him no. Who would want to
buy one,
have
get one
sex
free?
When you keep talking about your ex anyway. As if that's not enough, he had some weird, here's the thing for me. This is why I chose this story. He had some weird fascination with my chin. He spent no less than 15 minutes sucking on it.
No. You're going to make me break out, you fucking weirdo. Ew.
Not my neck, not my tits, my fucking chin.
No.
Who
That's fucking
does that?
weird.
That's not even the worst part. While he was playing with his dick and sucking on my chin, he asked me, "Where's your clit?"
Well, at least he asked.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry.
Classic. I will say his only redeeming factor that night was that he
on my
asked
chin,
me.
I'll tell you that much.
He asked me to put his hand where my clit was, but even that was a bit of a minor win, as he touched it for not even half a minute before he went back to sucking on my chin.
No, honey.
That's not where the clit is.
Here's the thing. It grosses me out so much because the only visual I have for that is babies will do that sometimes. Like babies will like suck on your face or like find that's what it reminds me of. It's a weird, as someone who has I've got a good chin. I got a good strong chin.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely would not.
I don't like it.
He would love you,
like it.
Keegan.
Oh,
he'd be like, blah, 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 blah.
I'm gonna throw up. That is so disgusting. At one point, he started freaking out because he thought he penetrated me, but unless there was a size issue, I did not feel any penetration.
No.
At one point, he kept fucking with the bronzer on my forehead and asking questions about it. And I just told him, "It's makeup. Leave it alone."
What in the fuck
Has he
is
never
happening?
met a human woman before? This is so weird. Is he an alien in his a human suit? That would make sense to me. He's like, "Is this how you do it? Sucking on the chin?" He's like, "This is how humans do that, right?"
Oh
right. It is
Somebody
definitely
check on
giving
the X.
Resident Alien Alan Tudyk.
Yes, definitely. And somehow the makeup thing, and somehow that made him bring up his ex-girlfriend that he lived with for the 200th time. So finally I had enough and made up some excuse about having to take my youngest sibling to some tryout early in the morning and fucking dipped. There are only so many times you can be compared to an ex-girlfriend while you're having your chin sucked. Needless to say, I made my own happy ending with my $20 vibrator when I got home, and I did not see Joe again. And unfortunately, this wasn't even the weirdest date I've been on.
Oh my goodness.
No. The chin thing is so sick.
There's nothing erogenous about that.
No.
The neck, of course.
Yeah.
But your chin.
Yeah.
Even the side of your chin, right there might be fine.
Like a kiss.
Right.
Like on your jaw. Jaw area. Sure.
But it ain't my chin.
There's not look, not to yuck anyone's yum. For me, there's nothing sexy about the chin. It's not that's not, I wouldn't be
all I'm thinking about too is I rarely wear makeup, and that would be the time I had makeup on and you're just sucking it off this part of my face. That just is ugh. And if I'm going to get a zit, that's where it's going to be anyway.
100%. I break out on my chin constantly. Yeah.
If your dirty mouth is right there, I'm totally going to get a fucking
definitely
pimple for sure.
So gross.
For sure.
Ugh. Okay. This was titled "Taking Facebook Creeper to a New Level." I had been dating this girl for just a few weeks. Her level of intensity was instantly suspicious, being overtly sexual on WhatsApp before we'd even met, making longish-term plans, talking about our dates like they were some magical serendipity.
That's red flag behavior. Yeah. If you haven't even met yet and people are going down and dirty like that.
And making long-term plans before you've even met.
Yeah.
Like vacations far in the future. That's weird.
Actually, they've been dating for a few weeks. So
dating for a few. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so they have met. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to say,
But this is just a few weeks still.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I know. I did the same thing though with Eric. Eric and I were fast and furious. So listen, don't listen to anything I say.
You know.
Pot kettle.
Okay, but both people have to know, and he did not know. She knew. He did not know.
That's true.
That's a big difference.
Yes. So true.
Yeah, you both parties need to be on board if you're going to be moving that fast food, you know?
Yeah.
So she was a bit weirded out when I told her I had been divorced. I explained why me and my ex-wife split. It was a mutual, amicable, and related to a personal issue my ex-wife had, which was none of my business to discuss. The girl I was dating didn't believe me and went snooping on Facebook. She somehow found my ex-wife on Facebook, which is incredible as I don't have a Facebook, so she didn't find her that way. And my ex-wife also uses a pseudonym as she is a very private person.
Ooh, that is...
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Can you fucking imagine?
No, I mean, we'd no longer be dating.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Like that would be such a huge violation.
Well, yeah. I mean, his response or how he's like, it was an amicable thing. It was her personal reasons. Like that's her business, that kind of thing.
Not for me
like,
to discuss.
Standing a respectful king.
Yes.
Definitely. And to go behind and do whatever she's going to do, because I'm sure it's going to be cuckoo bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. Instant red flag.
She then proceeded to ask my ex-wife to verify my story as to why we broke up, which my ex reluctantly did. She then messaged me to warn me. The girl I was dating then gleefully messaged me with, "Baby, I didn't believe your story about your divorce, but your ex confirmed the story. So now we can be together."
No, we can't. No, we won't.
No.
Like that is so fucked up. That is so beyond crossing a line. That is disgusting.
I wonder what happened to that poor girl where she couldn't take that information. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and let it go.
But also, listen, everyone has pasts.
Right.
And most people have past romantic partners, past romantic relationships. If someone being divorced is a deal breaker to you, or if it's that big of a deal to you.
Yeah, if it triggers that kind of distrust.
Right. Then that ain't the one. Okay.
Truly.
Like leave him alone. Like it doesn't warrant this kind of response.
He says, needless to say, I ended things immediately.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, good. Good for him.
Yeah, dude, like we've talked about it before. We all snoop and stuff, but to actually reach out and contact,
how find them?
How embarrassed would you be? Like, first of all, of course we've snooped and seen like ex's new piece or whatever you're looking, and like we've talked about how embarrassing it would be if you accidentally hearted it or whatever. Yeah. But then to just like actually DM them and ask them personal questions. Oh, honey.
Well, and to admit, like I thought you were lying. Right. Like how did you think that was going to make him feel when you admitted that to him, whenever you messaged him and were like, "Oh, this is amazing. You were actually telling the truth." It's like, okay, well, what did you think of me before this? Like, it's not, just did not plan, she did not think that one through at all.
No, that's somebody who's had some emotional damage, probably needs some therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Dang, I feel bad for what I said at the top about rebounds, because we totally shit on that through the story.
Well, but no, I actually don't think so, because like what I think is there are good, like a rebound like can either make or break you, right? And it's just like that relationship that you have after you just come out of something long or something traumatic. Like it can either be something that helps to make you feel whole again, or it can be something that makes you be like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm moving into a cabin in the woods and I'm swearing a vow of celibacy, and that's that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, truly. So like a good rebound, like a good person on the rebound is important.
Yeah.
And like, unfortunately, that's just not the case for everybody. In fact, I think it's rare. I think it's a rare diamond in the rough, rare gem.
And everybody needs something different from the rebound.
That's right.
Also
so for me, I really needed like easygoing good dick. And
and you got that.
And it was
great.
Yeah.
It built my confidence back up and everything made me feel like, oh, okay, yeah, I am like
desirable.
Desirable. Yeah, exactly. But what's one person needs, not everybody needs. So yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's just like any other, thing when we're talking about dating. It's just about compatibility and timing.
Yeah.
That's so much of what it is.
I think it has a lot to do with distinctly what was missing from your marriage, right? Right? So like for some people that's an emotional connection, or an abusive relationship, somebody who didn't treat them nice at all, as we were exampled in the beginning. Or like for you, somebody who just rejected you bodily, for whatever their reasons be. But that can weigh on a person's well-being, after a period of time. And then if you don't, coming out of that, getting that rebound, the right rebound is going to fill in those gaps that you've been missing for a while, get you back on your feet, and then you can go looking for that whole person.
Yes. Go about your merry way.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, you guys want to take a quick break and then we'll come back with the Tainted Love?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Sweet.
And we're back.
Okay. So, I found the case I'm going to talk about from a Medium article, and then I got to sit down and watch a Dateline Secrets Uncovered. So that's the one they're doing on Oxygen.
Yes, I love
Dateline Secrets Uncovered. The episode is called Infatuation. Infatuation.
Christina, you should know that Chris and I are like using it's a reenactment all the time.
All the time. Eric and I too.
Oh, really?
Really?
Really? I didn't know.
Like, it's not the same person.
Do you get that, honey?
Do you get that?
Do you understand?
Do you get it?
It's a reenactment.
And that reminds me of the story I told last week where they were watching the Dave Chappelle and he kept pausing it and being like, do you understand?
Do you get it?
Do you get that joke?
No. Please explain.
We laugh about that so much because I was just like, I was high and he mentioned how much prettier the person was, and I was like, I didn't even think about it. Like, it's a different person. It's a
really?
It's a reenactment, and he's like, yeah,
I know. Okay,
welcome.
Is the Dateline Secrets Uncovered one? Because I swear to God now, every time I listen to Dateline, because I used to watch the Secrets Uncovered, and the difference is they have the exact same music, but then they have that woman vocalizing over the top of it, and it's like, oh,
yes,
is it that?
Yes,
yeah.
And then every time I watch Dateline, I do that. Anytime the music comes on, I'm like, oh.
And, it was not Lester Holt. It was some blonde lady was playing the Lester Holt role, and but it was Keith Morrison in this episode. So we did get some nice shade moments.
Oh man.
Shade.
I love that they all bring. I've been watching Dateline on Peacock, and I just love that they all bring something different to the table.
Yes,
you know, because they really do.
Eric is what's the guy's name?
Mankiewicz
fan.
Yeah,
that's his
favorite.
Mankiewicz
too. That's my favorite.
Like Mankiewicz,
yeah.
I also like the other guy who we never speak about, but I like him too.
What's his name? It's we'll have to look it up. But I like him too. Keith Morrison, I have to be in the right mood for, because sometimes he's a little too catty. And I'm like,
I agree.
I'm like, bro, you're sitting across from a murderer.
Yeah, because it's truly, he can be a little bit of a shady bitch.
Yeah.
Also, if they're gonna, because I'm sure they don't write their own stuff, but if they're gonna give anybody weird puns that are borderline inappropriate, it's always Keith Morrison.
It really is.
Where you're
and I'm like, whoa.
Why are you?
Yikes. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this takes place in 2009 in Dallas, Texas. But I'm going to tell the story of Shelley Nance. So Shelley is the youngest of 3 girls. She was born in Italy, Texas, which is how you pronounce this. It's actually Italy.
I hate
fucking that.
Love it. I love it that we in the States have just decided. Yeah, yes, exactly. We've just decided we're gonna name it after this other big major place.
Yeah,
but we're gonna pronounce it totally
Paris,
differently.
Texas.
There is a
too.
Paris, Texas,
Which are bold. bold.
Yeah. There's a Lebanon, Missouri that's spelled like Lebanon.
Yeah.
There is in Ohio too. Lebanon, Ohio.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so she and her family lived in Italy, Texas. Now, Shelley was super, super shy, very, very introverted. But she drew a butterfly like in middle school, and it was like so good. And so everyone was like, holy crap, like you have like a lot of artistic talent. And she got really into art. So while her older sisters are out like partying and being like teenagers and that kind of thing, like Shelley is shut in her room, drawing, learning about anime, learning about making video games. Like she's on a path. She is actually so good that her senior year, like her teacher was like, you really should enter this contest. And she does. And she wins a full scholarship to the Art Institute.
Oh, Jesus. So she's
in Dallas.
Talented.
She's talented. Like so good.
That's awesome.
But, I mean, obviously, like she was not popular in school. And I also want to say that when we watched the Dateline, it reminded me of the conversation that we've had before on this podcast about how important it is to make a Dateline folder for your friends and loved ones.
I was talking about that recently.
Pictures to use, because the way that I would haunt my motherfucking parents if these were the fucking pictures.
I thought that same thing. I was watching that Fatal Affairs, and I was like, why are they using this picture of this poor girl?
Let your mother pick out the pictures for you.
God, my mom would pick.
We've said this before, but it bears repeating. There need to be 2 separate files on your computer. Right. There needs to be a if I go missing files of pictures, and a if I'm already gone and you need pictures for Dateline.
Right.
Because the Dateline pictures, I look snatched. I look gorgeous.
That's right.
That is the best I've ever looked in my life, and you better fucking use those. The if I'm missing, still pick good pictures of me.
But they have to look like me.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I saw someone that kind of looked like
that, but she looked beat up. She looked toe up. So 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you can't use the glamour shots for my missing poster.
No.
Oh
okay.
my God.
But yeah,
my mom would pull out some random ass glamour shots that I took when I was a kid.
Oh my God. Yeah. The way that they were pulling out like 7th grade goth photos of her, I was like, don't do that. Come on.
Disrespectful.
Like, truly. So yeah, she's on a path. She's going to go to Dallas, but she's never been away from home. She's a shy introvert. In fact, her quote in her high school yearbook really kind of got to me, because it was, you laugh at me because I'm different, but I laugh at you because you're all the same.
Yeah.
And I was like,
we all had one of those girls in high school. Yeah. And I respect it. I was friends with those girls.
She was going to Dallas. She had that scholarship. She was going to learn how to make video games, do anime, like all of that.
Very classic. I'm getting out of this town.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. She eventually wanted to come to California, and work in this industry. So she's really on her way. And once she got to school, she found a tribe. She found people exactly that had the same interests as her, and those people
wrote the same
liked
quote
her
for the yearbook.
Yeah, her like fellow students and her friend group like really liked her and respected her, like that she knew so much. People were blown away, because she's like a baby, at how knowledgeable she was about anime and making video games. Like she was well above her peers.
Really?
Wow.
I advise, I love a small town. And if you're happy in a small town, stay in a small town and enjoy that life, because there are pros and cons to both things. But if you feel like, and I guess this doesn't just go for a small town, this goes for anywhere. If you feel like you don't fit in or people don't understand you, get out of your bubble, because you just haven't found the people who get it yet. Yeah, you just haven't found the people who get it yet. Because like there are people, this world is made up of all kinds, and there are people out there who are just waiting to love you.
Yeah,
they're just waiting to understand you,
That is absolutely right. So yeah, she's doing well. She's living in an apartment complex called the Falls, which later on a detective would say like it was obvious that her and her family didn't have knowledge of Dallas because it was kind of a bad neighborhood to live in. He's like, I wouldn't let my daughter live there.
That was me when I moved to LA and I didn't come here first to check it out. And I was like, this is probably fine.
And you're like,
dear listener, it was not.
Yeah. So, I mean, but she has a roommate. They have like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment that they're sharing. And they get along as roommates. They're actually friends. But of course, like, you're first moving out. There's disagreements sometimes that come up between two people who don't really know each other that are living together in kind of student housing and everything like that. But it's fine. And she ends up like being friends with her and some of these other kids. And through being friends with them for a few months, she is meeting this guy, Nathan, who ends up becoming her very first boyfriend. So Nathan Shuck was her age and was also really into anime. And this was like her first boyfriend ever. But friends were like, we never saw them being affectionate with each other. Like they just like to go to anime conventions and play video games together. Like maybe they held hands once, but they never kissed. They weren't physical. And, Shelley had told her mom like about him, and one of her sisters had met him. And one of her sisters did say, Shelley was just really shy, but she could tell that she liked him.
This is the first relationship, right. She's just feeling it out. And also different people are like, some people don't do a lot of PDA or a lot of all of that stuff. And you don't know what's going on in a relationship.
Exactly. So yeah, this is now like September 2009. Parents are ready to go on a trip and they call their daughters to let them know, like, just say goodbye. We're going to be out of town, like blah, blah, blah. And they call Shelley and they're not able to reach her. So it's weird because they talk frequently. And I even thought they were like, what is she doing? She's never like blown us off. But her sisters were like, you know what? Like, let her be. Like, she is 20. Let her finally like,
live her life. Yeah.
Whatever. But the mom is agitated. And so like the next day she still hasn't heard from Shelley. So she doesn't have the roommate's number. So she calls the actual school and she's like, I need to find my daughter. And they're like, okay. And so they don't really help, but they end up, one of the administrators finds Ashley, the roommate, and is like, hey, like, have you seen Shelley? Like, her parents are trying to reach her. And she's like, yeah, not really, but I'll go home and see if she's there. And so she goes into the apartment and she had slept there the night before. Ashley had. So she's like, I think she's home. Like, the room's shut. So she goes in and that's where she finds Shelley dead in her bedroom.
Oh my fucking God. You slept in a house. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's awful.
Awful. So she, of course, calls the police and is freaking out because Shelley has actually been stabbed 42 times.
Oh, Jesus. Shit.
Like overkill. And she had to unlock the door to get in. So the police come, and this is what they see. They see that there's no sign of forced entry. They see the overkill that has happened. And they also see that Shelley is still clothed. So there's no signs of SA. And so they immediately look at Ashley, and they're like, so
what'd you do?
You were here yesterday. Can you come in and shut the door, please? Mm-hmm. And they proceed to ruthlessly interrogate her. In fact, the detective
giving Amanda Knox vibes.
The detective that's on this case is very Texas in a way. He's retired now. He was still wearing a class ring in the interview. If that tells you,
it does tell me.
It tells me everything.
But so he's like, that's what he sees. And he's like, it was a disagreement between roommates and like, it's a logical first step. But he goes hard on Ashley.
I would like to see a lawyer, please. I would
exactly.
Can I call my parents? I'm fucking 20.
20-year-olds, right? 19, 20-year-olds. So she's visibly upset. She, as you would be, she found a dead body and she's like, I did not do this. I didn't know. And he's like, how didn't you know? She was been dead. Like, you slept here last night. Like, oof. And she's like, no, like, we come and go. We're friends, but more like roommates. You know what I mean? If her door's closed.
Yeah. Right. Why would I think, I don't keep tabs on her.
And he's like, but you share a bathroom. Didn't you see? And there's little tiny like blood spots in places in the bathroom, like little.
Oh, no.
But there's also girl detritus.
Right. But if I saw that, I would assume it was makeup. I'm like, okay, that's liquid lipstick or something. Yeah. I would just assume that it was. My brain would not go straight to blood unless it was a lot of it or very obvious in some way. So
she had used the bathroom in the morning to get ready for school. Like, didn't think anything of it because Shelley's bedroom had a door she could get into from the living room that was closed, and then a door to get into the shared bathroom, which was also closed. So, like, she's just like a roommate. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go knock on or bother my roommates either, but the police seem to think like this was a really weird thing. I personally didn't think it was a weird thing because I've lived with people before, and I'm like, if you're not tight with them in a way, if you're just living together,
right?
Like,
or if you don't have like a set routine, like I would notice if something was like really out of the ordinary routine wise, but if that's not the kind of relationship that you guys have,
right.
Like, she's got a 7 a.m. class. And
right.
It's like 6 o'clock and you're like, I don't see her up. I might go knock on her door.
So nothing like triggered her alarm bells. So she's just like, no. And they're talking with her. They're getting information. They're like, okay, so we got to talk to the boyfriend. We got to talk to the mom. We got to talk to her classmates and stuff. So they finally let Ashley go. Like, they're like, okay, but you're still a suspect. So the evidence that they find at the scene, there's some of these like blood drops, but the only thing that they really find, they don't find any fingerprints or anything like that, except a tiny sliver of what looks to be like a blue latex glove, like a piece of a blue latex glove. So that's like the only physical evidence that they have. Once they're like, okay, our next stop, we got to pick up the boyfriend, right? Because there's no signs of forced entry, and it's either going to be the roommate or the boyfriend, right? So they pick up Nathan Shuck. So Nathan Shuck is like a 20-year-old boy that's maybe 95 pounds soaking wet. He looks like a 20-year-old boy. And they're talking to him about the relationship. They're like, how was it? Did it, what level? And he confirms that they had never kissed, they'd never had sex. And this detective is like grilling him, being like, what do you mean? I don't know anybody that's your age that hasn't even, you mean you haven't even kissed?
You still have your class ring on. So I'm like, of course. Yeah, that's how you feel.
We know when your glory days were.
Exactly.
So you can't fathom a 20-year-old boy who didn't, go in for the kill right away.
And he's like, no, we just bonded over anime and video games. We like to go to the anime conventions together and, that kind of thing. And he's like, okay, well, we've talked to Shelley's mom, and Shelley's mom said that she wasn't really feeling it. She didn't think that she had butterflies and that she was going to break it off with you. So did she tell you that she was going to break up and then you killed her? And he's like, no.
Did he just make that up?
No, he did actually talk to the mom.
Okay.
And the mom had told the police, like, yeah, I talked with Shelley. Like, it was her first boyfriend and she wasn't sure about it. She was like, I feel like I should be feeling more. And
But I think that that's so normal. It's her first
totally
relationship.
fair.
She doesn't know what to expect.
Right.
They bonded over, again, we were talking about my date with the travel. It's like he ticked off anime. He ticked anime off of your must list. And then you were like, well, let's give that a shot, which makes total sense.
Yes.
Especially if you're coming out of a situation in your hometown where people didn't get that aspect of you. I could totally see how you would bond over that, and then you get in it and you're like, this isn't what I expected, or I need something more. Actually, I thought this was enough, but it's not. That's so normal.
Yeah, they're babies. And so actually even that previous weekend, they had just gone to an anime convention together that like a lot of their friends go to like every year. It's in Dallas. So they had just gone to that together, and he's like, well, where have you been, since then? And he's like, I went back to my parents' house, and like, you can call my mom. My mom had to take me to school and stuff like that. And they're like, well, we've got to search your place. So they go into Nathan's place, which he shares with a roommate as well. And it is completely full of swords.
What?
So many swords.
Well, okay.
Swords, knives, throwing stars. On his MySpace, he's dressed as a ninja with throwing stars and stuff like that. So they're like, wow, you're really, They're like, wow, you're really into this stuff.
But you know what? Listen, they got to investigate him. They absolutely have to investigate him. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I might not like the attitude I'm getting from this cop, but they're not doing anything wrong in that way. However, I knew a lot of guys who were into anime and throwing stars and samurai swords. Okay.
I said to Eric when we were watching this last night, I was like, I feel like dating a guy with a sword is a canon event.
You gotta do it one time. Yes.
We've all dated that guy that had a sword.
I had an ex-boyfriend who had a machete that, I'm just like,
canon event.
Always, this makes so much sense to me. I'm like, this is not.
It's not.
No,
it's
this
not
tracks.
Weird. Yeah,
this tracks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
School
date
boyfriend
the
or
sword
college
guy
for sure.
Yeah. You date the sword guy.
It's a thing. So yeah, they're searching his apartment. They're getting very, very suspicious. And then they go into his bathroom, and this is not a shared bathroom. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath. So with his roommate, he has his own bathroom. There is a Ziploc bag with blood on it in Nathan's bathroom. And they're like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, I swear to God, I took a shower there. Yes, it was not there. I don't know what that is.
Wow.
I don't know what that is. And they're like, well, we're going to send this to the lab for testing and stay put.
Shit.
So we're going to talk to your
roommate. Yeah.
Yeah.
100.
Now we're going to talk to the roommate.
Yeah.
So Nathan Shuck's roommate is a kid named Daniel William. And I say kid because he's 26, but he's significantly older than the 20-year-olds that he's hanging around with. And that's because Daniel was ex-Navy. So once he got out of the Navy, he was able to get those funds to attend Art Institute of Dallas. So that's how he came to meet Nathan and room with Nathan. Daniel's relationship with Nathan was interesting to police because he would cook all of Nathan's meals, pack him lunches, wake him up for classes in the morning.
That's weird. Sorry.
Drive him to and from classes, everything like that, which Nathan obviously appreciated.
That's daddy behavior. What's going on there?
And they were like, would you describe yourself as like, a mother figure? And he was like, yeah, I really was looking out for Nathan. Like, I personally didn't like Nathan and Shelley's relationship because I felt like Nathan was showing a lot of red flags and that he was starting to stalk Shelley. And so they're like, oh, really? Okay. All right. So tell us more about that. He's like, yeah, I raised the issue to a lot of the friend group that, Nathan was like stalking Shelley. And I reached out to Shelley a number of times to try to talk to her, to warn her about Nathan's behavior. So they're like, okay. So they regroup. They've talked to, the mom, and they've talked to these 3 people. And now they're like, okay, so we got to talk to other friends and figure out what's going on. Because at the end of the day, we've got 3 suspects.
The way I couldn't be an investigator because my face would really?
Could it? Me too.
Could 100%. It be me?
You're like,
yeah.
Okay.
Really?
That's weird behavior. So truly, they have 3 suspects, but they're leaning more towards 2. At this point, because they're like, we found a bloody Ziploc bag in these guys' apartments. So it's one of these guys that lives here. So Ashley's kind of off the hook for now. But the thing that still bugs them is that there was no forced entry. Like someone had to have a key to get in, to unlock the door to get into their place. And they're like, Ashley's got a key, but I mean, Nathan and this chick just started dating. Like, they probably doesn't have a key to her place, right? So this is very strange. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Well, they talk to other people. They circle back around, and they're able to talk to other people. So they're like, so tell us about Nathan and their relationship. Tell us about Daniel. And everyone's like, Daniel is, like, weird. He's really weird. Like, he is constantly like texting or talking about Shelley. So
that's very weird.
Yeah. And
your roommate's girlfriend. That's weird.
And Ashley was like, he kept saying that he was really upset that they didn't invite him on their dates.
Well,
so yeah. And he was really, really upset when he didn't get invited to go with them to the anime convention that past weekend.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
And so he had been texting Shelley.
Let's go together.
Yeah, exactly. And then so they circle back with the mom, and she's like, oh yeah, Shelley did tell me she was getting a lot of texts from this guy, but she was ignoring them because she's very like non-confrontational and everything. But she had talked to Nathan and said, like, your roommate really kind of weirds me out.
Yeah.
And as far as they know, Nathan never brought it up to Daniel. Again, it's like that 6-year age gap, and the fact that Daniel is kind of being a mother.
He's taken on this figure.
He's taken on a weird role.
So their power dynamic is skewed.
Right.
And I don't know, there's almost something controlling about that. Like maybe you do that on purpose so that you don't get that, you're making it so that you're not equals in your own apartment.
Right. Exactly. So then they also find out that they're like, okay, Daniel, take us through your alibi. And the first time they talk to him, it's like very reasonable. He's like, I went to Walmart, and then, I went to my friend Jessica Howard's house, but she wasn't home. And then I had to go to class and like blah, blah, blah. But the next time they pick him up, they're like, they have the videotape of him going to Walmart, and he did buy hair dye and soap. He also bought a box of blue latex gloves. And the next time they talk to him, Jessica Howard's house is an apartment in the Falls. So he put himself at the murder scene at the right time. And they've already talked to Ashley, and she's told them about Daniel's texts and stuff like that. And they're like, who has keys to your place, or have you ever misplaced your keys or anything? She's like, only thing I've ever done is I lent Daniel my car a couple weeks ago. And so she just handed the keys.
Right. So the house key was there. That's what I was thinking, is like somebody, it takes nothing to make a copy of someone's house key. Yeah.
Correct. So the next time police talk to Daniel, they're armed with what is essentially circumstantial evidence, but they've got him buying blue latex gloves at Walmart. They have tested the Ziploc bag that was found in their apartment, and it is Shelley's blood. And he's placed himself at the scene of the crime at the correct time. So they go hard on him and end up charging him with the murder. And their theory is because they found out that he was gay, and then their story is that Daniel, they break him down like, do you want a relationship with Nathan? Like, was this a romantic relationship?
Oh, yeah. And I know the story now that you're... Yeah. Oh, my God.
It turns out that he was, like, secretly, like, pining for Nathan, was attracted to him the first time he met him, wasn't out openly with him, but was like hoping that maybe if Shelley was out of the way, kept trying to push her out of the way, that him and Nathan could have this romantic relationship, which,
oh God,
of course, is not like Nathan. When I tell you, I looked at this child in this Dateline, like he looked like a literal child, like, you know, a 20-year-old boy.
Right.
He was so naive and like into his throwing stars and ninja pictures on
Right.
MySpace.
I want to talk to the woman who wrote us in for advice at the beginning of this episode and say not all 20-year-olds are the same. Okay.
Yeah.
true.
Right.
It is
Yeah,
true.
100%. There are like very, very mature 20-year-olds, and then there are
ones
mature.
that-
There are 20-year-olds who are still like
Babies.
teenagers.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
And so, yeah, they charge him with the murder. It's mostly circumstantial because they don't have like DNA or anything, but it's enough for the jury to find him guilty. He does get life in prison. He's eligible for parole after 30 years.
Wow.
Which is actually pretty lenient for Texas, honestly.
Well, I imagine that has something to do with. I mean, if you said it, I missed it. Did he confess?
He did not confess.
So he did not confess.
He did
so
not.
they convicted him on circumstantial evidence
Right.
completely. So
Yeah.
that probably, to me, that's probably
They're
why
like,
they gave him a
well,
lesser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's they're fairly certain that, you know, his thought process was like getting Shelley out of the way would make it so that he had more of a chance.
That is
of
so bizarre.
winning over Nathan.
The things that your brain does, like the way that you rationalize things
Right.
whenever you have like strong romantic feelings, it's so weird.
Yeah. And what made me so scared about this story and so sad is that like people noticed his like what they called his weird behavior. Like he was really pushy, but it was right under that line of being like, you wouldn't be able to go to the police and be like, he just keeps
Right.
texting me, what are you doing?
Right.
Or he wants me to invite him on dates with my boyfriend. You can't go to the cops with something
No.
like that.
Right.
It's just odd behavior, right? So then, you know, Shelley goes home. She locks her door. She goes to sleep. She's sleeping during the day because she has class or something later that night. Mm-hmm. So she's just asleep in her bed. There's no protection from anything like that. It's so, excuse me. It's just so fucking senseless, so tragic, and so awful for somebody that had so much potential to be ripped away for such a non-reason, such an extremely weird rationalization of somebody's off mind. And what's scarier is when they dug into his Navy records, then he had actually been in like had to go see people in the Navy because he kept saying, I have these desires to be violent towards people. And like he was not popular in the Navy. Like people were like, he was weird, he was off-putting, he had a temper that would come out of nowhere, that kind of thing. So, you know, those kind of things too. It's like, it's so hard to, my natural inclination is to give people the benefit of the
Me
doubt
too.
of like
Right.
1,000% of the time, and to not, and you also just never think, oh, like I shouldn't indulge this, or I need to get help. This person could be a murderer is never anybody's
Right.
first thought, especially like when you're
Right.
20. But that just really got to me, just how senseless it was, how there's nothing anybody could have done.
Right. It's very scary to
Right.
me too. I always think in cases like this, you know, I always think about like she went through her normal routine. She probably got home from class, washed her face, brushed her teeth, read some anime before bed, turned off the light, went to bed like a normal day, like just normal. And then it can all be over in a second for no reason. And that is so terrifying to me. It's not like you did anything. It's not like.
And the rage he felt, like to somebody that like, if Shelley had felt the level of rage that he had for her, like I guarantee you she would have been concerned for her safety. But like,
right.
he stabbed her so many times
Right.
while she was asleep. That is so much anger and jealousy, which is so terrifying to me that like somebody can have that simmering inside them and you don't even know. You know?
Oh, that is truly terrifying. Yeah.
So scary.
Wow.
And then, so what I was talking about earlier too, this Dateline with Keith Morrison, they do interview Daniel. He's on the Dateline, and he's of course denying it that he did anything. But you can definitely see like Keith Morrison is goading him, and Keith Morrison's like, you fucking did this. And I'm like,
Keith Morrison is great at that. I feel like that's how they pick their stories. They're like, do you need to needle someone? Put Keith Morrison up there.
Yeah, and he does. Yeah. He does needle him. And so, yeah, it's definitely worth watching if you can find it. I think you can get it on Hulu if you have their live TV package. But yeah, that is the incredibly tragic story of Shelley Nance.
Oh, that is so sad. Like her life was just getting started. Yeah. That's so devastating. Wow.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess what I take away from this story is like, if somebody's being strange in your friend group, like call it out. Because that's the other thing, is that people just kind of like put it together. But I mean, I also at 20 probably wouldn't have the confidence to be like, why are you being so weird, man? You know, like that kind of thing.
I'm still like that even now. I don't know. Like like last weekend I like was out and there was a guy there, and I was just like, there is just, you're being weird. Like there was just something like very weird about the interaction. But again, even now, even at this age, my instinct is to be like, well, you know, everybody is different, and some people just don't have good social skills, and like maybe that's all it was, and I'm just gonna go home. Like I'm not gonna like think, because that's just, you just don't know. The world is made up of all kinds, and I never want to jump to a conclusion that like but as soon as we end
this podcast, you're going to tell us this person's name.
I will tell you the story when we get off mic. Sure. Yeah. But yeah, like it's just hard, and it's hard whenever you are an empathetic person because you do get it, and especially like if you're coming from a situation where people considered you to be weird, like where you're from, and
that is such a good point. I didn't think about that.
So maybe you're more likely to be like, I don't know, like he's just you know,
people are
beats to his own rhythm. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oof.
Well, what are you guys watching?
I did go see Beetlejuice. So I went and saw that on Thursday. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of hard. I really enjoyed it. I thought that there was like really good moments of humor. Colleen Atwood does the costume design, and she's amazing. And they got Catherine O'Hara is so.
I love Catherine O'Hara.
Incredible. She's so funny, and a lot of good practical effects and stuff like that, which is always a joy. Yeah. It's hard because like that era of Tim Burton, that like 80s, early 90s had such a specific vibe that I think it's difficult to recreate in 2024, where everything is so shiny and glossy and bright and. But they didn't try to make it like the original, and I think that was wise.
Good.
So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been cycling between two things. We started watching The Terror on Netflix, which is this story about an Arctic expedition.
Nope.
That ain't
and how it goes wrong.
Is it a true story, or is it like a
no?
Either way, I'm
scripted.
out.
Okay,
no, it's scripted.
Yeah, I cannot. The idea of like isolationist horror. And then being that cold.
Yes.
Like anytime I watch it, like when I'm watching The Revenant, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm out already. I don't need to fight a bear. No. I don't want to fight those temperatures. Okay.
No.
Like
an Arctic expedition on like a fucking wooden ship.
No.
Like they're trying to find the Northwest Passage. No. And it's just like, I'm like, I don't think I could ever be more miserable than that situation. That's literally my hell.
On a boat?
Yeah. On a
in
boat?
the Arctic?
Yeah.
Oof. No.
And so then cycling through that, because it is it's not a scary, it's a more of a tense.
Oh.
So it's just building tension. So then we balance that out by getting high and watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Perfect.
So good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Cool. No doubt.
Cool. I actually, I was listening to MFN the other day, and Georgia was talking about a book that she was reading. I was like, or listening to, and I was like,
I listened to it too. I finished it, Cass, because we talked about it.
So good. Yeah. So it's called The Nothing Man, and the way she described it was like, it gives you like definitely vibes of, the Golden State Killer, and it does everything she said. I was like, yep. But it tells you the story of like the narrative is the book that was written by this girl who is the only member of her family to survive this serial killer's last crime, basically.
Oh my goodness.
It's her story. And then intermixed in the middle of it, like every other chapter or whatever, is the second narrative, which is the serial killer reading and his thoughts, like, oh my God, how did she know that? Or, that's not how that happened. Or she got everything right with this. Like, it's him kind of reading the story as it comes.
It's very much, I would not be surprised if the author straight up came out and said that she was inspired by I'll Be Gone in the Dark. Because like, has she said that?
Yeah, no, she mentions
Golden State Killer. Yeah.
She mentions I'll Be Gone in the Dark in the book as well.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. So she mentioned, so it's funny because she does mention like these past like serial crimes and like there's one of the characters in the book is like a professor, and in her class, I'll Be Gone in the Dark is one of the books on her book list. And it's in that way that you can tell that she has a nod toward like these real serial crimes that are,
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. And I would, I think that it also takes place in Ireland. So if you listen to the audiobook, you get two great Irish accents, which is always nice. I thought the audiobook was a really good way to consume it, actually, because it has the two narratives and they got two different voice actors to do it. So I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
It was really good. Yeah.
Well, hey, if you guys have something that we should read or watch, if you've got a funky situation that you need us to try to unravel, or if you just want to say hi, or if you have those terrible dates, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com, and we love you so much.
Cheers.